In episode 1 of the Heritage Journey, I visited the beautiful country of Togo. In episode 2, join me as I explore the bustling streets of Benin.
My bloodline royalty, we don't care what the people say.
We're at the border. After a night of hitting the town in Lomé with my new friends, we had an early morning drive across the border. Looking around, I immediately recognized the distinct difference with this bordering country. Cotonou, Benin was way more bustling than laid-back Lomé. I knew a little about voodoo from my Caribbean roots where it's practiced by some. But in Benin, voodoo's the official religion of the country. It was ancestors from this region who brought it to the Caribbean, South America, and the US. I learned that people use voodoo for good and bad, and that traditional voodoo was used to heal people with different ailments and diseases, and also to help guide them in their life journeys in areas like career, love, and friendship. Snakes are the sacred animal in voodoo, so I showed up here at the Python Temple, a place of worship open to tourists, to learn more and see if I was brave enough to handle the slithery creatures. Okay, no, it's fine. What's happening? What's happening? Okay. Okay, relax. Okay, I'm relaxed. Oh, please. Okay, fine, I'll admit, I was a little shook. It was my first time holding a snake, but I finally got myself together for the flick. But I still wasn't in the clear. Now I had to go into the temple where they had mad pythons. So before you enter the Python Temple, you have to remove your shoes as a sign of respect. Man, I got in there were so many pythons, too many pythons. This was my experience in the Python Temple. Early the next morning, with the assurance that there would be no snakes in the water, we ventured out to GANVIE, a beautiful village built on a lake in Benin. Photos and videos don't do this place justice. It is breathtaking. And the history so rich. In an attempt to escape slavery, some of the people of Benin fled to water and eventually built an entire village here, with homes, schools, restaurants, markets, police stations, even water taxis. Everything you could ever need on water. I can't get over the resilience of these people. My people. Wow, that takes a lot of thinking, you know what I'm saying? To leave where you're from and come build.
They are very, very clever.
And people call this the Venice
of Africa.
The Venice of Africa?
We used to call that place Venice of Africa.
Well,
because that is the only in Africa.
Yeah.
Only place like this in Africa.
Well, maybe they should call Venice
of
the GANVIE of Italy.
I will show you now my house.
In West African hospitable fashion, our guide, Steve, welcomed us into his house. It was so calm and peaceful, and I could see how people could get used to this lifestyle. It was cool to experience this way of life, to take in these sights, to shop, connect with locals, and just be here. I couldn't stop thinking about how this amazing story is so untold, and how many people don't even know this place exists. If you ever make it to Benin, GANVIE is a must to add to your itinerary. On the last day in Benin, I visited Ouidah, a coastal city that shares one of the richest histories as it relates to my ancestors. The French, Portuguese, British, and Spanish all had slave forts within walking distance in this region. I was able to visit forts that were still standing to this day. I had the most comprehensive, immersive understanding of slavery from this tour here in Ouidah. From personal accounts of individual slave stories to how some African kings initially worked with Europeans in the slave trade, visiting torture sites of slaves and cemeteries where they were buried alive if they didn't appear strong enough, walking the path of the slave route to the shore. It was here in Ouidah where I could truly connect the dots from Benin to my parents' home countries in the Caribbean to my current existence in the US, and walk the line of my ancestors from freedom to captivity and freedom again. It was complex and layered, to say the least. As I continued the path, I was overwhelmed. With one step, I was thinking about how many of my ancestors must have taken these same steps in this same path and what they had to go through to get to this point. and the 3 months in shackles on a boat across the Atlantic they had to take after. In the next step, I think of how far we've come despite that, and what that means to be who I am today, what it means to all of us. As I finally made it to the shore, the water once again gave me peace. This experience was a reminder that I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. If they could only see me now. This trip to West Africa was an experience, one that I'll never forget. I learned so much about myself, my ancestors, and created a new connection to present-day Togo and Benin. In the religion of Islam, people are encouraged to go to their Mecca at least once in their lives. This pilgrimage is one that everyone with a connection somewhere else around the world should consider taking. Particularly for Black people in the diaspora, those of us with ancestors who were taken from Africa, who don't know much about our personal heritage, and even those of us who do. I would love it if we could make a new tradition to trace our ancestry and take an intentional trip, a heritage journey, at least once in our lifetimes. Connect with locals, learn our history firsthand, experience the bustling cities, beautiful beaches, and traditional villages. It's more exhilarating, healing, fulfilling, and transformative than words could ever explain. Let's return, reconnect, and rebuild the bridge. Thank you, Togo and Benin. You owe me nothing.